All right, guys. This is Ryan Ho, back with another video. I'm here with MrAyrit, which his also name is Drew, and
What's up, everybody?
today we want to talk about headphones, gaming headphones, kind of, I guess my experience in Can Jam, and then kind of just talk back and forth and our conversations and kind of see what happens, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. So, I mean, it seems like we both have a pretty high interest in gaming, right? I mean, we had a little conversation before. In a lot of our reviews, we're talking about gaming, and it seems to be the reason why maybe we both got into this hobby. So, seems like a natural place to start the conversation.
yeah, so like for me, I started using gaming headphones like HyperX's and stuff, and then I want to get better headphones, and like quarantine happened, and it was just like I'm stuck at home all day. Like I want to listen to good music, and like literally, I used to go to like concerts, like Coachella and all that stuff, like all the time. But then you couldn't go during quarantine, so then I was like, I just want to have a good audio experience at home. So that's when I started buying more expensive
Buying,
headphones.
buying, 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 right?
Yes, just buying.
So you're relatively new to
Yeah.
headphones then. Only quarantine. I mean, so what, like a couple of years, not even a couple of years that you're into this?
Yeah, honestly, I started probably only like a year ago. Not even like I probably started in like January, like really getting into like more expensive headphones. I bought the HyperX Cloud Orbits, which are like they're basically Auto Z Mobiuses. They're planar magnetic like close back, and I thought like, wow, this is like my entry to like the game, and it would sound really good. But then I was like, what's better than that? Like, what's going above and beyond that? And then that's how I got into this trap of, buying gear, testing stuff, and just like going down this rabbit hole.
I tell you, I think so many people fall into it that way. And, it's like once you get a taste of what's like a little bit better audio, then you're just like, well, what's a little bit better? Well, what's a little bit better? What's a lot better? And then there goes your wallet, right? Well, I'm really glad you brought up Can Jam because I knew that you went and I saw like some of your videos that you made, and I think I'm gonna go. Like my plan is to go this summer. It's in Chicago, and so there's one in Chicago this summer, and it's a doable drive for me. Not too bad of a trip. So I definitely want to go. So just like, what was that experience like for you? I mean, it seems to me like it'd be kind of a double-edged sword because you'd get to hear a bunch of stuff, but you'd be hearing it with all those people around, like in that busy mess. But so I mean, I don't know, like how good of impressions do you feel like you were able to get from those headphones at Can Jam? I mean, not that that's the only reason why you're there. Like, I think just being able to talk to people would be like probably the main reason I'd want to go. Like, of course, I want to try gear, but I just to make connections with people and just to be able to discuss headphones with people, which is why like I'm starting to do these things where I'm reaching out to other people or having people reach out to me to have these conversations because I don't have anybody local to talk to about it, myself. So
Yeah, it's
seems like
like
it would be just a great experience. I think.
yeah. So for me, like I wanted to go to CanJam because like we're in quarantine. You're just like watching these reviews of people are like the Susvara. It's like the best headphone ever, and people are like you're like wait, and you're like the Full Cal Clear Utopia best headphone ever. And you're just like I'm here sitting here with like my $300 headphone, my $600 headphone. Like, what does that sound like? And for me, it's like unless like there's not really many places to demo, and like I thought CamJam would be a great idea to go just so I can hear everything that's expensive without having to pay for it or anything. Just like be able to demo these things and know what it's like. Because like I feel like I get so much like FOMO, like I don't know what these headphones sound
Mm,
like.
yeah. FOMO is for sure a thing.
Oh no.
Like that probably drives like most of my stuff. And I just want to be informed, like I hear somebody talking about a headphone or I watch a review and I'm like, man, I want to know what that sounds like. And so I'm fortunate that I have, enough disposable income that with buying and selling, I've been able to try a lot of that stuff. But certainly I feel like, yeah, Can Jam, I would just be knocking things off my list. Do you feel like, I mean,
Yo,
obviously
so
5 minutes isn't like enough time to spend with the headphone really, but do you feel like you walked away from there knowing which,
yeah.
I guess the question, here's my question is if you're talking flagships, do you feel like you walked away from there knowing which one you'd buy?
Yes. So the thing I think about is like there's headphone shops where you can go into, right? And like I feel like people expect you to like spend like hours on a headphone, but when you go to a headphone shop, you're gonna go in the shop and you're gonna try on a headphone. And you're gonna pick up a headphone and you're gonna try it on and be like, oh, this thing is comfortable. Is it too heavy? Does it fit well? And you're gonna listen to it and does it speak to you? And you're gonna put it on and then you're gonna take it off and you're gonna try next one, you know? And that's kind of what happens when you're like trying headphones. Like you can try a bunch of headphones and like a lot of times when you're buying stuff, you don't really have like 8 hours to spend with something before you buy it, right? But for me, like when I was testing these headphones, I took it like I was like a crazy maniac, like taking this like really seriously. Like before I even went to Can Jam, like I took my HE6, okay, and then I downloaded Apple Music lossless files onto my phone. So I it had no internet. So if I had no internet, I would still be able to play them. I had 3 test tracks that I listened to death. Like I know it like the back of my hand. I know exactly what it sounds like, how it should sound like. So I knew like exactly if it was like neutral bass, like neutral mids, and like treble. I knew exactly where it should line up. So when I listened to a song at Can Jam with like let's say the LCD5 or something, I could listen and be like, oh, that treble, like her voice isn't extending as high. So I can tell you like, oh, it's not emphasized as much. And I was like listening very critically, like nobody should do this. It's probably not the most fun thing for other people to do, but like that was me like taking it very seriously. I was like analyzing how is the tonal property? Does it sound good? And then am I enjoying it? And that's kind of what I was doing. So I was kind of judging a lot of headphones with tonal properties, and I could tell within like the first like 10 seconds of the song a lot of things already. Like I could tell the bass, like what it is, and like for 5 minutes it could tell me a lot about at least like the tonal balance of a headphone if it would be for me. And surprisingly, a lot of these headphones don't sound that similar. Like people always compare like let's say the Utopia to like the Susvara. They don't sound anything alike. When you listen to them, you're like the bass of like the Utopia sounds like it just comes in this small point versus like Susvara is like it's a planar, you know, it has much different like characteristics and it's tuned differently. Versus like a Mesopierian, it has like a much more warmer bass. So it's like I feel like these headphones actually don't sound that similar, and it's kind of easier to choose when you actually listen to them. But when people talk about it online, they're like, "Oh, this is 3,000, this is 4,000." They're about the same price point. Like what should I choose? When we actually listen to it, you can really immediately tell if you like it or not. At least,
See, and maybe I am a little bit different. Um, and but like as I've been able to try out several, around $1,000 headphones here lately. I mean, this kind of goes back to the diminishing returns things, but like I like them all, right? Like I don't not like any of the higher end headphones that I've tried. Do they sound the same? No, they're different. They're for sure different, but they're all done well enough in their own way that they're like enjoyable. At least that's been my experience so far with higher end stuff is that it's all pretty good. So again, is it worth it? Like I don't think you'd be a sad company, right? If you put out a headphone that was like 1,000, 2,000, $3,000 and it wasn't good, you know? Like I don't know that there's really that many companies out there that are doing that. Is there frequency response or tonal balance going to match everybody's preferences perfectly? No. But I mean, did you think any of those headphones were just like bad headphones?
oh yeah, there was
You did?
yeah. So like, there's a high fan closed back ones. Like, oh my god, I put those on and I'm like, please get off
Oh
my
yeah, I
ear.
think I remember watching that.
Yeah,
I
like
remember you
literally,
talking about it.
it was just like it sounded like a tube. Like it sounded like you're in like a closed like a cave listening to music. It was just like echoing everywhere. I was just like, what's going on? And like a lot of times like hyperband headphones, they're actually tuned very well. They're open backs.
Yeah, I
So
think
it was
so.
kind of like a punch in the face. That wasn't that good. And there was other headphones like I feel like when I judge headphones, especially like at Can Jam, like my criteria is like, can I listen to this for a while? Or it's like the thing I focus a lot is like treble. Like I hate headphones that have like a lot of treble. Like I like treble, but not like way too much. So like headphones like the Z1R that have like a huge treble spike that just like it actually like hurts your ears when you listen to it. And like I just don't understand how people can make headphones like that. And cost like 1,600. I don't know if it's just my ears, but like you can look at like graphs and stuff with those, and they all show the same thing. But for me, it's like finding a headphone that's like a nice, comfortable listening experience that's not too wacky. I feel like a lot of these high-end headphones start emphasizing the treble a lot more because that can come off like as more detail, but sometimes it just comes off as like fatigue, like way too much. I don't know if you like have that
I had
experience.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, that's what makes me move on from a headphone usually is like there's something that just gets under my skin about it, like even if it's not a huge flaw, but again, as I've tried more expensive stuff, I find it to be less and less. Like the flaws are less and less, like it's not so much there's like a glaring flaw that it just doesn't match my preferences. Whereas, for headphones under $200, I feel like a lot of them legitimately have flaws and downsides. So yeah, I mean, I think you're just yeah, but I haven't tried a lot. I mean, I have heard that some of those higher end headphones have like, especially like the LCD stuff. Like I heard that they are really emphasized. Although the LCD 5 sounds pretty solid from what I've heard from everybody. Not that I've had a chance to try it yet. So I don't know. So what's your pick? You got Can Jam. You were able to try everything. Which one would you buy? And are you going to buy it actually?
Oh, that's the greatest question. For me, it's like if I had all the money in the world, it would be the LCD 5. Simply because if I compare it to the competition that there was, like the Susvara, I thought like everyone talked about the Susvara. We own the HE6 SE. We have this headphone. But when I put it on, I listened to it. There was just a little bit of this like trouble, like peak, just a small one, but it would just kind of irritate you here and there, just kind of come up here and there, and like no one really ever mentions that. But like we have this headphone, and this one has a smoother treble that's more enjoyable to me. And so this is far, it just couldn't be that because it just had that one minor flaw. But if you're spending $6,000, a minor flaw is like not good enough, right? So for
Yeah.
me, like I can't stand that. If I was to spend that much money, I wouldn't be able to handle that.
So
And
LCD
so
5.
LCD 5, like of all the high end headphones, that one had like no flaws in the sense of like there was nothing uncomfortable or overemphasized, and it just sounded really natural to me. And for me, that was it.
Well, I
And
gotta say, like out of all the flagships, the two that intrigue me most are the LCD 5 and the Susvara. Just from everything I've heard, like I feel like for me it would come down to those, like as far as which one I would pick. Now, I don't know, maybe I'll be swayed differently. Someone's sending me a Utopia right now, so I'll get to try that one out. And I like Focal stuff, but there's always been something just a little bit like off with them for me. So I'm curious to see if the Utopia will be like that. And then we'll have to see what happens, I guess, with the
yeah,
Suitsvara. I'm like, in my head, I'm going like, I'm thinking about selling like my motorcycle so I can buy like a Susvara, which sounds stupid to me, like when I say it out loud, but honestly, it's probably going to happen. Like, will I keep it? Probably. Like, I don't think I can justify keeping like a $3,000-$4,000 headphone, but right. I remember like kind of my motto with all this headphone stuff, and I need to go back and find like the clip specifically. You ever watch the show American Pickers? You know
oh,
that
I have
show?
it. No.
Well, they're based out of Iowa, so I kind of have a fondness for them and stuff. But they meet eccentric people that have like collected stuff over the years. And I remember distinctly there was one guy that reluctantly sold some stuff, but then he was like, the goal isn't to own all the toys in the world; it's to be able to play with all the toys in the world. And I thought, yeah, that's a good attitude to have. And so that's kind of like my attitude with all this stuff is like I don't need to own everything all at once, but I do like want to hear everything like at some point in time.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Like
W-
for me, like you talked about like the Focal heavens, right? Like before I went to like CanJam, I've never tried one, but I would just see them. They all look so beautiful. They all look so great. But then they're all like $1,000 except for like DLX, right? And when I finally got there and finally listened to a bunch of them, I just realized that their house signature was not for me. There was always something a little overemphasized that seemed a little kind of sharp. But the one that I actually liked the most was the Utopia. I feel like that had the least amount of like the full cal like house signature downside. Like it was actually like the best of all of those. And to me, like that was my favorite of all the folk albums. So it should be
Yeah, I mean,
exciting to try that one
those
for sure.
headphones, like there was always something with, so I've tried quite a few. I had the Allegias, I had the Alears, I had the Alex, I just had the OG Clears that somebody sent me to try out. But there's always been, you know, it's one of those headphones that like I love almost everything about it, like the build and all that, like the comfort, like I think is all spot on. Detail is great on those headphones, imaging is great on all those headphones, but it's like there was just something timbre wise with all of them that just didn't it just didn't quite sell me on it. And so I'm curious to try the Utopia to see. Hopefully I can report back and be like, no, they nailed it. But you know, who knows?
The tuning always, there's something always like a little off about the tuning. There's always like, they're just almost there but not quite there. Like, because I tried like the Stelia, I was really hyped for that. I was like $3,000 closed back, like looks amazing. Put it on and I was like, film vocals sound a little like distant. It wasn't really tuned that well right there. The bass was just like, I don't know, the Focal bass, people say it's like punchy and stuff, but it just doesn't, like when you hear a planar bass, it's like this thing, this wall. It's like you feel it here versus like you just hear like this little small little driver like doing the bass or like Focal headphones to me. It's just like not the same experience for
I
me
mean, I feel like
personally.
they have good impact, but there is definitely like a difference with planars, and I feel like just I feel like planars tend to be what I settle into for the most part. Like my one exception to that right now is my Aeolus, which is kind of, I mean, but that's like a biocellulose, I believe. I might be wrong about that, but it's like, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, I tend to favor planars myself. So that's why I think LCD5 Susvara. I am curious to try too some of the stack stuff that's more expensive. I mean, I've only tried cheaper e-stats. Like I've got the monoprice e-stats back there, and I had the 95X for a while, and like they're like the 95X I thought was pretty good, but again, just timbre wise, it's off like a little bit, but that is an interesting technology for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know, the stack stuff I'd be curious to try. I mean, I want to hear it all, and that's why, I do want to go to Can Jam, and I'm going to make an effort to go this summer. I think it'd be a fun experience. Whether I can walk out of there and feel like I am ready to know which one I'm going to buy, I don't know, but
Yeah, like the funny thing you mentioned about like electrostats too is that like I never tried those before until like the event, and after trying like five or six of them, to me, I feel like every single time I try them, it's like maybe I guess it's really the timbre like or the speed. Like it sounds like they all sound like really fast in detail, but maybe it's like too much detail or something. It just doesn't sound normal or not something I'm used to. So it's hard for me to like when I listen to it, I don't say like, oh, I need this right now. Like for me, it just sounds kind of foreign to me and not really like doesn't connect to me, but maybe because I'm not used to it. And that's how I felt when I listened to like the stacks, even like the Odyssey ones or the Hyphen Man ones. They all just felt a little different to me. That wasn't really like a planar. Like I feel like maybe I'm just like too used to a planar. I like that sound way too much. But
well, I mean, again, I think it comes down to like, right, again, this idea that there isn't one right sound, or one best sound. It's what are you used to and what are you familiar with and what do you enjoy? And there's just so much that's wrapped up in it that I almost feel like it's difficult to make recommendations anymore, just because like when somebody asks me about a recommendation, I just think about all these factors and it's just hard to know. Like for example, I've got the Bear Dynamic. A friend sent me the T1 second gen right now, right? And that headphone, like it's a oddly tuned headphone. I feel like V shape, but the bass isn't super clean. A lot of sparkle and energy up top, but it's like I was listening to it, watching the new Arcane. I don't know if you're a League of Legends player, but like the new
yeah,
Arcane
I
series
haven't
on
watched it,
Netflix,
but yeah,
dude, you should. It's excellent, honestly.
yeah, I need to.
But anyway, I was watching that and I was like, dude, these sound really good for this. But it's because the bass even though when I'm listening to it, I feel like it's not super clean and super detailed, but like when you're listening to it, it has like this naturalness to it that I think is like what we're used to when we hear bass from like speakers, you know? So it's like it works and but it's different. So I don't know, it really turned me off initially, but after listening to it for a little bit, I kind of like it. So I think, you know, there's a couple of factors there, like preference and all that and what you're used to, but also like are you giving your brain time to kind of like adjust to a new sound, which I know burn in is like a debated topic, and I mean I certainly agree that burn in like happens, but I think a lot of it too is also just like brain burn in, you know, of just like getting used to it yourself and used to listening to it and getting, you know, familiar with a sound. Like I think is a lot of what burn in is. And I think like I see these headphone manufacturers, like I've got a set of Dan Clark Aeons on hand right now, and like in the paperwork, it's like you need to do like 100 hours of burn in, and you need to like if you swap the tuning pads, you need to burn those in for 20 hours or so. I don't remember exactly what it says, but it's something like that. But I think I don't know. Maybe I'm jumping to assumptions here, but I think like a lot of that is just to get people like to sit down and like listen to it for more than like a gut reaction, you know, and to give it a
Yeah.
little bit of time just to like settle in and let you get used to it. So I think it's really smart to just like encourage people to do that. I would certainly do that if I was a headphone manufacturer. Like give it some time, you know, give it 40 hours like before you make a judgment. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because it's like because like you said, like if you swap pads, why do you need burn in? It's like I guess you need the pads to like adjust your head and like kind of compress a little bit, maybe get to the shape of your head. Maybe that all like contributes to the sound, you know, maybe that actually does make a difference to the sound. So I mean, I'm not the manufacturer, so I wouldn't know, but I definitely like I think you reviewed this headphone too, but like I got the gold planar GL2000 and like I listened to that headphone and then like it sounds a little weird, but once you listen to it for a while, you're like, oh, that sounds fine, and
Yeah,
like your
that's how
brain
I
just kind
get.
of burns in, and like
Yeah.
it's not really not that bad. But like when you like swap back and forth with different headphones, you're like, oh, okay, I could hear like that's very different. But if you just listen
I,
to one headphone all the time,
yeah, I mean, I like doing A-Bing, and I think that's what we all want to do, right? We want to be able to like A-B and go, oh, this one's definitely better. But I think for me, I can A-B and go, this one's definitely different. Is it better? So I think for me, like I kind of use A-Bing as a tool just to pick out differences when I'm comparing something, but I don't like to use it when I'm making like an overall judgment. So
so I guess Drew, question for you is: would you ever spend money on like a flagship headphone? Would that be like something you're interested in?
I think I'd like to say that I have the like constitution to like deny that, but I think just my personality is I feel like I'm gonna have to try at least one of them like at some point in time. So well, I already said I got the Utopia coming, so I'll get to try that one. Maybe based on that experience will inform whether I'll try the LCD5 or the Susvara. But I mean, I would say, yeah, I probably will at some point. Keeping it's a whole nother matter, right? Like keeping it is a totally different thing. Will I buy it to listen to it and then sell it again? I think it's quite likely. What about yourself?
For me, it's like like after going to Can Jam and like trying a bunch of headphones, there was two headphones that like just like haunt me like all the time. I always think about like LCD5. Will I ever spend 4,500 on a headphone? I would say I would wait until at least it's on like the used market and like get it on a discount. And I think that's gonna happen eventually one day. Either it's LCD5 or the LCD6 or something. I think eventually
Mm,
I'll at least get one because I really want it. But there's a thing that kind of stops me from buying like any of these, even like the birthday clothes, right? That's my favorite clothes bag. And it's just that like it's almost like you want to enjoy the journey, right? Like you don't want to just get the end and then like am I not curious about any headphones ever again? It's like no, it's like for me right now, it's like I feel like because I don't have an end game, I'm just trying things out. I'm always curious of
hmm
what the next thing sounds. I have something to evaluate against. And it's like I'm not like if I bought, let's say I had LCD5 right now, right? but then I'm trying like the Audio Technica 700X, and I'm trying these headphones constantly. It's like I probably don't even have time to spend with that because I'm trying other things, and I don't want my quest to end. It's like, do you want your story to end right now, or do you want to keep listening to more? And for me, it's like I kind of want to keep listening to more stuff, and eventually, maybe when I'm finally done, I'll buy myself like a really expensive headphone and like call it a day. But until then, it's like I almost want to continue that like intrigue, that like unknown. Like I don't know, and then maybe it's better that I don't know what the end is.
Yeah, that was honestly beautifully said. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I've had a lot of fun. Like I overdo it. Like I have too much stuff here right now, and it's like I don't feel like I can necessarily do all of it service, right? Um, so I really like, going through each tier and trying things, at each tier, and then I realized that if I sold all this other smaller stuff, I could buy, a nicer thing. But like for me, a lot of the fun of it is just comparisons and, trying to find what's right for me at each price point. I really enjoy that process, and I find it very fulfilling. And I feel like gathering that experience is what's allows me to enjoy headphones at this point. Like I can appreciate their unique qualities. And I think ultimately when I get to that like summit tier, I'll feel that I had, made the journey and that like I can appreciate it, is what I hope, I guess. So yeah, enjoy the journey. Don't get too hung up on it. I mean, again, worst case scenario is you can just sell it and buy something else, right?
I mean, just spend the money that you want now. You can always upgrade later. You always try things down the line. Don't overthink it and just like sit there forever and just like ponder in this no man's land and just like sit there. Just
Yeah.
get it,
If
don't regret it, and just go on.
if you're not enjoying it and like enjoying playing games with it or enjoying listening to music with it or whatever your use case is, like then just sell it and get something else, right? But like you shouldn't be stressing yourself out that it's not perfect because none of them are perfect, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
quite frankly, nothing's perfect.
nothing's
There's always
perfect.
something you can point out as a flaw. So, yeah, anyways, it was really nice talking to you. Had a lot of
Yeah, for
fun
sure.
time.
No,
Um,
no, it's great to connect finally, and certainly we'll have to do it again in the future for sure.
yeah, and if people have anything they want us to talk about, they can, comment down below.
Yeah, for
Let
sure.
us know
Drop
what you guys
comments
want to
down
hear.
below. That's we talked about doing like a live stream mainly or something like that, but we didn't feel like we'd necessarily have like the audience together to do something like that. But not opposed to that in the future if we have enough to go off of. So certainly, like if you've got comments, questions, things like that, we'd love to hear them down below
Yeah,
for sure.
sounds good. All right, well, nice talking to you, Drew, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, you too, Ryan. Thanks.